Welcome, cult members, to the Pop Culture Cult. I'm Sean.
I'm Janice.
And welcome to our, thank God the House of Dragon is back, because we don't have 800 other things to watch right now. This is our after show, our discussion, our instant reaction to what we saw. We don't do a scene-by-scene breakdown. We don't do Easter eggs. We don't watch along and do a reaction as we watch. But we do want to react to what we just watched, and we do want to discuss what we just watched. And so that's what this podcast, this version of our show is. Some things about us too. I've read the first Game of Thrones book. You've read two?
No, the first one.
Just the first one?
They're dense. It's a little.
They're dense, and George likes. Yeah,
they're in my library. I keep meaning.
Yeah, and we haven't done the House of Fire and Blood book, which is the in-universe third party storytelling of the Dance of Dragons that this show that the House of Dragons
unreliable narrator,
unreliable narrator, and so we're coming to it as fans of Game of Thrones and fans of the show House of the Dragon. Now, we do know some of the lore as we sit just by listening to other podcasts and having discussions with friends and stuff like that. Blood and Cheese is one of the conversations we're going to have tonight. But if you're looking for a deep dive intellectual conversation about Game of Thrones, Casterly Talk is great for that. But we're going to spend about 20 minutes about talking about what we saw and how we could fix the high towers.
Yeah. Aegon steps down and...
yeah. And so...
we're Team Black, by the way.
We're Team Black, hence the black shirts. We'll try to keep that trend going throughout the entire show, but we are Team Black. Not even a question. Not even somewhat of a question. And Allison is a hoe. We're also to be doing spoilers, so like all that kind of caveat as we go ahead. So we have gotten this episode, and one of the things I really like about what HBO does is that after the episode, they have like kind of a teaser trailer for next week, to kind of what's going to be happening.
Yep. Or in this instance, I think it's the whole season.
The season as a whole.
Yeah.
And then we get a 10-minute kind of episode breakdown from the writers and the directors and the cast members, that kind of hitting the high points of what happened in the episode and what's important for what happens in the episode, which helps for us. Again, if we are not deep in the lore, we can at least have a conversation, like sit there and say, okay, what we're thinking is something that they are talking about, they are presenting.
Yeah, it's, and even if you are, I guess, deep in the lore, it's helpful just to understand what they're thinking when they present something, because I can see something and think it's one thing, and you can see something and think it's something else. So to have them kind of say, this is what we were thinking when we made this choice or this decision or whatever is nice. It's also interesting to hear the actors' takes on their characters.
Yeah. Especially for somebody like Emma Darcy, who is playing a mother. They are non-binary in real life, but they're playing this amazing mother, and they're kind of coming to it in a very different view because they are non-binary.
Right.
And what they are doing on the screen is very different from who they are as a person. And so hearing their point of view of different things is very interesting. And then you got Olivia Cook, who is much on the same vein of not a mother, not this type of vindictive person or whatever, a very gentle soul, the way she's presenting the things that she is seeing and how she's reacting. And so I just want to keep talking. Just go. I'd rather listen to you guys talk about your process than like the show sometimes.
How they get there, because these characters are not who they are in real life, which is a testament to their acting abilities.
Their acting, and why they should be in the conversations for the Emmys, but they won't be until season 5. Unless your name is Peter Dinklage. Okay, so if you haven't been around for one of our reviews, we kind of meander all over the place, trying to hit the high points, the things that we found interesting. We're going to start with Blood and Cheese, because that is the catalyst that is going to be this season.
Well, and I was going to say that this episode, not a ton goes on.
Yep. I was going to talk about that too.
There's a lot of chess piece placement. There's a lot of, hey, remember, this is what happened in the last episode that ripped your heart out, and then we left you for a year, in case you forgot. And Rhaenyra kind of trying to, get through that.
Come to terms with it, at least? Yeah.
Yeah, and then Daemon just, like, they're not his kids, and I feel like he's got a little bit of a soft spot for his daughters, but who knows? It's Daemon. So, he's like, yada yada, we have a kingdom to run, and then what's her name that got off the Rhaenys, these names. She's just like, go ahead, try to tell me what to do. You're not the king.
Yeah,
la,
yeah,
la, la.
yeah.
And so there's a lot of chess pieces moving around, a lot of this is where I stand, but not, there's just not a lot of action. There's not a lot of what we come to, the backstabby.
There was some setup for some backstabby stuff.
Right,
yeah,
but until the very end with Blood and Cheese, you're just like, oh, okay, this is a coming back episode, blah, blah, blah. And then, oh, no, we're going to kill this child, and we're not going to kill, we're not
going to show it, but...
They didn't show it, but you heard it.
Yeah.
They stabbed that kid repeatedly.
Yeah, yeah.
So they weren't even, like, they're going to come in and find a mess.
Yeah.
Which, Rhaenyra, at least, all she found was a cloak. So
right, and all she wanted was Aemon, and all she wanted was Aemon. Like I think if they could have gotten and actually killed Aemon, I'll get it. I swear to God, if they had done that, the war may have ended right then. Because all she wants is revenge for her son.
Right.
And so Daemon, when she goes to the one line that Emma Darcy had in this entire episode is, I want Aemon.
Yeah.
And so Daemon takes that as a green light to pull Daemon shit.
Right.
But if they had done their job and killed the right son,
right,
I think there would have been a, okay, eye for an eye. We kind of got everything. Eye for an eye. See what I did there?
But only one.
Only one. I think there would have been at least okay. He probably deserved to die because of what happened to Joss, to Chase, and the end of last season and stuff. And it wasn't necessarily his fault, but Rhaegar kind of did his own thing, and Aemon was along for the ride last year.
Right,
last season.
That's what happens when you ride a gigantic
who's like on his 5th rider or whatever it is. But the idea that I think that if they actually would have done their job and done the right thing, I think it would have finished this story. But also, if Rhaenys would have burnt the whole...
I know
everybody down when she escaped from King's Landing, we wouldn't have another season, right. And they've already okayed season 3,
right?
So so HBO is like, no, we're gonna rip your heart out every time we get the chance. Yeah. But with the idea that Daemon took it as a green light to act on his own, and they find the White Worm during the blockade, and he convinces her to help him get into King's Landing. They hire Blood and Cheese, and they stumble their way through the castle. And I actually said this when we were watching. They walk through the king's chamber.
Yeah.
When Aegon was on the throne, drunkenly hanging out with his friends because he's the rat catcher, and so he has free range of the whole castle.
Nobody said anything because
But they were also an idiot and idiots and just a son for a son.
Yeah.
What is the name of the episode? But it's also
who are we looking for again? You know,
Yeah.
the guy with the eye patch and the white hair.
Yeah.
Okay, well, the white hair doesn't narrow it down for everyone that's in that family.
Most of the people in that castle, yeah. But they talked about the lead up to this season. The creators said, "Hey, we're doing Blood and Cheese," like right away, and everybody's all like, "What? Like we're what? Like we're not gonna whatever." And the way they presented it in the after show was they wanted to kick off the season with something that really is the final domino to lead us into war.
Right.
And like you were saying earlier, much of this episode is nothing but chess moving pieces. And a lot of people think, I don't necessarily believe this, but I think it's an important thing, a conversation to be having. A lot of people think that Game of Thrones as a storytelling process is best when it's all about chess pieces moving.
Yeah. I mean, that's really what it is. Like, just thinking back on the Game of Thrones, it was a lot of, like, I think I watched the first 3 seasons, just back to back to back because they had dropped.
Yeah.
We weren't watching it week to week.
Yeah.
And then we started watching it week to week with like season 4 and 5, and you really had to go back and rewatch. You really had to go back and rewatch
really pay
everything
attention. Yeah.
every time a new season dropped, just because information you learned in season 4 all of a sudden made sense for what was said or done in season 1,
Yep.
but you had no idea in
Yep.
season 1 what was. So, I mean, for a network standpoint, it behooves HBO to do it that way. I mean, I don't know how much, sway they have over it, but for them, the more they can get you to rewatch seasons and episodes
Yeah.
that you've already
Yeah.
seen, then the better that is for them.
One of the things that we've done is we've done it at least twice, and we've talked about doing it another time. But there's, like we said, 800 things to watch right now. Is the rewatch of Game of Thrones, the whole 7.5, 8 seasons, all 76 episodes that are all an hour plus longer, or longer. And
it's a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot, and we've done it twice. And one of the conversations that we've had on a regular basis around here is I really like the final 2 seasons a lot more than a lot of the internet. And I think I like it a little bit more than you do, although I do believe that you like the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, I was fine with it.
Yeah. Part of the reason why I have become much more appreciative of the storytelling that happened in those last 2 seasons is because of the rewatches. To go back and say they laid the groundwork for Dany to be a wackadoo, and that she was always going to burn down King's Landing.
Yeah.
Like it was always going to happen.
Yeah.
And they gave you all the indications from jump that that's who she was going to be. And you were all excited when she burned the Tullys to the ground. Tullys? It was Dickon.
Yeah,
it was the Tullys, right?
Yeah.
We were all like, they should bend the knee. Like everybody was all excited, and she had no reason to burn them. Like she had no reason to burn them.
Right.
And Tyrion the whole time was like, we could send him to the wall, but no,
just lock him in the dungeon, or something.
No, okay, all right. So the rewatchability of this show is one of the reasons why it has been so popular to turn around and come back and to figure out all the details, because there's a ton of details that happen in this episode that we're not going to catch until they talk about it in a podcast, or they talk about it next week, or 4 episodes from now. There's going to be something that was mentioned.
You can talk about it all you want, but there's going to be a lot of stuff that nobody is going to understand where it was going until the whole thing's over and you go back and rewatch it.
So. I'm trying to look for the Clubfoot guy, and I cannot remember his name off the top of my head, because it's just IMDb. It's not cooperating with me, and everybody's got bad. Everybody's got the same names. The boy with the foot fetish. Him whispering in Aegon's ear that Otto is playing his own game.
Yeah.
And then you have Aemon and Christian Cole having their own drunken conversation that maybe they need to be acting and not waiting for their brother to get the okay from Otto to do it, and then Otto coming in, and then Otto also having the conversation with his daughter, with Alicent, with the idea that she feels undercut by Otto,
right?
Because he undercut her in the council meeting. I can't remember what they call it.
Yeah, the High Council or
the High Council meeting, whatever.
Yeah.
They have a different term for it, her being undercut by him when she's allowed, she should be in the room. She's the most calm, trying to do everything she can to avoid the war that she knows is coming.
Yeah.
And she doesn't want the war, and she even says, like in her conversation with Otto, like, the war is coming. Like, and there's nothing we can really do it. We both don't want the war, but again, back to my if Blood and Cheese actually had happened the way that they were told to do their thing, then the war probably wouldn't have happened. There would have been skirmishes,
right?
But yeah.
But this sets. I mean, hands have a very short lifespan, so
right.
He's been hand for quite a while. So
they said 3 kings. So
yeah, quite a while. So I don't expect him to, because everybody is kind of not on his side. Like, everybody's either thinks they're playing him or is being played by him, and so I expect him to be eradicated.
One of the reasons we are Team Black is because Rhaenyra is the true queen. We're not taking any conversation. We're not taking any questions at the time about that particular thing. But one of the other reasons we're both Team Green is because everyone. Team Black. Slipping up already. One of the reasons I think we both are Team Black is because they are much more. They're much more aligned as a group. Everybody on her council is there for her, including Daemon, even though Daemon is doing Daemon's things.
Right.
But everyone is there for her.
For now.
They're, at least the way they were presented it last season, and so far in one episode this season, everyone is there for her and her true claim. Everyone on Team Green is out for their own and using whatever position that they have to get more power, more prestige, more leverage, more whatever, to position themselves either as king, like Aemond believes, or Christian Cole believes probably that Aemond should probably be king too, because he'll actually act, or everyone else on the council, including Alicent, is all doing their own thing.
Yeah.
And Aegon probably wants to be a good king, but Viserys never really brought him to the council meetings.
Right. Which is probably why he brought his son to the council
Even
meetings.
though he's 4 and was harassing Tyland?
The exchequer,
the
money
Lannister,
the money guy.
Jason Lannister. And so I was like, okay, that's cool that they there's definitely a visual storytelling division between Team Green and
Yeah,
Team Black.
yeah,
And they're
absolutely.
definitely
Yeah.
showing that.
And they gave you some, opportunity to have empathy for Aegon. That he's just, he's young, and he just wants to make everybody happy. As
Yeah.
you saw him,
Yeah. And
sitting
his
on
petition.
sitting on the throne having court, and this guy's like, you took all my goats and I wasn't prepared, and it's winter, and he's like, oh, we'll give them back, and
Yeah.
then they're like, oh, we can't actually give them back,
Yeah.
and so yeah, he's just, and getting drunk in the throne room with his buddies. I mean, he's just there he just wants to do a good job, but he's just not prepared, and that's definitely Viserys' fault.
Viserys' fault. Yeah, totally. Allison's meeting with Otto, she talked about the idea that Aegon, the polish, the fun of being crowned will go away eventually, and when that happens, that her and Otto will be able to not manipulate him. She didn't say that,
Yeah.
but direct him in the direction that they want him to go.
Yeah.
And that kind of was proven with the whole I'm getting drunk on this
Right.
and even in the council meeting, he instantly got bored with it after he sent his son. He sent Jaehaerys off. Jaehaerys, right?
Yeah, Jaehaerys.
Have some confidence in your name calling, Sean. Once he sent him off, he started playing with the ball. Like he was like, I'm done with this, like kind of thing. So
Yeah.
like there's definitely a point in this story down the line where Aegon's got to either want to do something like Joffrey did and say, this is why I'm king. I have the power to get rid of a hand or get rid of the head of the king's guard or something
and
along that line.
I actually think that that's coming much sooner. I think the murder of his son is gonna, if it had been his brother, he would have been like, he would have been sad, like you said, he would have been sad.
Yeah.
He would have been angry, but it would have been easier to kind of go, okay, yeah, he did do this, and we can just move on. I think it would have been much easier for him to have gotten there. He's not going to get to that place with the murder of his son. He obviously
he's going to be vengeful.
Loves him, yeah, and I think that's gonna, if they're worried about the polish of being crowned rubbing off, well, that's going to happen right now, and he is going to turn into the evil.
Continuing on the Team Green is a hot dumpster fire. Allison's sleeping with Christian Cole.
That's that's not news.
Not news. And I love that he orally performs his duties. And she said, thinks that was awesome, never again. And then at the end of the episode,
they're
riding a horse with vinegar and sweat. I'm trying to keep it YouTube, whatever, safe, but whatever, understand what I'm saying. But the idea that this Captain of the King's Guard, who is presented as this virtuous...
Yeah.
I mean, he's the leader of the White Cloaks. I mean, he's supposed to be the idea of what a knight should be.
Yeah.
And every time he gets the chance, he's sleeping with one of the freaking royalty.
Yeah.
He did it with Rhaenyra when she was younger too, and he's like, never again. And she was like, let's run away together. And she's like, I have to stay. I'm going to be queen. I was like, So he felt, I guess, guilt at one point in time, but not anymore. And even he, in his conversation with Aemon, was all, we should be acting, but we can't act until your brother decides that we need to do it, and that's just not right. We're gonna, and even in the preview, his line in the preview for the season was, the war has been handed to the dragons. Like, he's gonna lead the ground forces, but he's gonna be ineffective as a commander once the dragons really become a thing.
Yeah, definitely. And they're definitely gonna play a role, right? Because they've been stockpiling eggs. I wouldn't say
Yeah.
stock. I mean, because there's not a whole lot of them, but
Yeah.
they have been, and so that's going to be a hey, your house joins us, which has already happened.
Yeah.
You come join us, and we will give you a dragon egg. So if it goes on very long, that's going to be a serious problem for the crown.
The crown. Yeah. The false crown. The green
Right.
crown.
The green crown.
The episode starts with us following the Raven to Winterfell. And I love that they presented it as, it's the North. We're used to seeing all of the land around Winterfell being covered in snow because winter is coming.
Right.
And we get there, and there's just a light dusting on the castle itself.
Right.
And then
it's cold. It looks cold.
It's cold, but it's not winter as we know it.
Like a foot of snow.
And then we get the conversation with... I should have looked this up before I brought it up, and I didn't because I'm that kind of guy. Talk amongst yourselves for a second. Cregan Stark is at the wall, and he is talking to Jace. Is it Jace? No, Jace is the one who dies.
Right.
It's the other one. And they are. No, I think it's not Jace. Jace is the one.
Laris is
Laris. Clubfoot.
Guy.
Yeah, there he is. That's the Clubfoot. We'll get there. We'll get there.
So many names,
and they're all like one letter off from each other. But the conversation they have at the wall is the way we start the show.
Yeah.
Like they want us as the viewers. Remember, like, you love the Starks. We spent a ton of time with the Starks. The Starks were the main good guys throughout the entire show of Game of Thrones. Oh, by the way, the Starks are important.
Yeah.
The Stark household is going to be a big deal in the war.
Yeah.
They want to remind us the Starks are here, but they also have a much more important, in their eyes, thing to do right now, and that's to watch the 700-foot wall to hold out death.
Yeah.
And I like that they started there. Now, we will get Starks going forward.
Yeah, we're going to get pretty much all of the houses from Game of Thrones.
Yeah, and some of the ones that didn't exist in Game of Thrones because they got annihilated in the Dance of Dragons.
Right.
So all of that. So
right.
I just like that they spent some time. Remember the wall? It's still there. Remember Winterfell? It's still there. Remember the Starks? They're still there. They're all still important. And that it's a little teaser for a lot of us knowing that the Starks play a major part in the Dance of Dragons going forward, and so having that like reminder. Now we won't see them again we may not see them the rest of this season, because ultimately I think this season we're going to spend a lot of time doing small skirmish, moving a chess piece, political backstabbing. Move a small piece, small skirmish, political backstabbing. Yeah,
I think
Otto gets kicked out. I
think it's going to be a lot of just bringing houses to each side.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, this whole episode they showed 3 different maps.
Yeah.
Of them moving the different houses into positions and stuff like that.
So.
Yeah. There's the whole. I just had it and I lost it. The sea snake, Corlys, him talking about the blockade, his flagship coming back and still being functioning in the blockade, but needs to be rebuilt. He talked to the guy who saved him, that allowed him to stay alive, essentially, and that he's in his debt, so that was all set up for something as we come along.
Yep.
As we move forward. And I'm trying to think if there's any other major scenes. White Worm. I think that's most of the big stuff that we kind of cover. And we'll get, like, we go along, we'll be able to go back and say, okay, this meant something, this meant something, this meant something, that kind of thing.
Yep.
So let us know what you thought of this first episode of House of the Dragon Season 2. This one's called Son for a Son. In the comments down below. It's very important that you understand that around here that we love our fandoms, and so we want to have fun, interesting conversations. If there was something you didn't like, we want to have that conversation. If you're going to be a racist fuck, we're going to banhammer you. and I use my one swear word. Oh wait, no, I've used two now, haven't I? Whatever. But I just let us know what you thought, and just be nice in the comments. That is a requirement on here. Like the video and subscribe to the YouTube channel and the podcast feed if you're over there. And follow us on all the social media stuff: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Links in the description down below. It's free. It helps us out, and share with your friends. And until next time, cult members, good afternoon, good evening, and good night now.